Okay, behind me, it might look like we've got a party box, maybe 200 or even 300 on deck, but no, this is an imposter. It is the Altec Lansing AL500 Street Shock, 2,500 mind-throbbing watts of sound. Let's check it out. So let me preface this by saying that this was online. I ran into, I'm not even sure how I ran into it, but at bjs.com, which is like a wholesale, like a membership type place, they had it for $100. Now this has a battery in it, so it'd be comparable to the Partybox 300. Obviously they're copying a lot of the design. It's about the same size. The lights are very similar. But this is not a very good speaker. Now, when I first got it out of the box, I turned it on. It worked fine. Then I left town. I was about a day and a half. I came back, turned it on, nothing. It just make a pop noise, and that was it. I tried to turn it on 50, 60 times, wouldn't turn on. Charged it all the way up, wouldn't turn on. Unplugged it, wouldn't turn on. So I just left it on earlier today for a few hours and just left it on. You could hear it making a little bit of a humming noise. There was no display, no lights, nothing. Come back a couple hours later, the lights were on, the display was on, it's working. So Altec Lansing, from my experience, their bigger speakers are crap. They're not reliable. They're very funky and finicky with stuff. I had that Expedition 4, I think is what it was called, or something like that. Bought it at Sam's. The thing would turn itself off. I looked online. A lot of people complained about the same thing. I had that Sound Bucket XL. It didn't sound very good. It didn't shut itself off or not work. But from my experience, Altec Lansing's bigger speakers are cheaply made. Their smaller ones aren't too bad, but I would not. The only reason I got this one was $100. I thought, well, heck, for $100, let's check it out. Anyway, let me get a little closer view, and I'll show you some of the details on this 2,500 watt. Yeah, right. Give me a break. Speaker. So a lot of the things the speaker has, I like. I wish the Partybox had this stuff. This is all very cheap, though. As you can see, it has sliders for bass, mid-range, and treble. It also has sliders. It has two microphone jacks and a guitar jack. You have controls here for the echo, your mic volume, and your guitar volume, which that's nice. I wish it was buttons instead of these. Very cheap slider. This dial is very cheap with lights. And then you can see the different modes. It has line in, it has USB and micro SD. Has FM radio on it, which is nice, and the tuner's so-so. It's not bad. Like I said, I wish the Partybox had all this kind of stuff. It'd be awesome. Has a very cheap, like, rocker switch to turn it on and off. Again, everything just very cheap. Even has an orange handle on the back, like the Partybox, copying it almost to the T. Now, like the Partybox 100, I don't know if you can see, but this has a tweeter on each corner. But down here, you can't really see it, but there are two ports. So this is front ported. And this says these are 8-inch drivers. They don't really look like 8-inch. If they are, they look closer to 6.5s, but maybe they're 8s. That's what they claim anyway. And it has a display here that lets you know what's going on. That's your charging status, the light, if it's different colors, and then it shows you what mode you're in. Again, something I would like to see on the Partybox. That would be nice. You go through modes, she's really loud.
FM mode.
Holy moly.
USB driver mode. Line in mode. Bluetooth mode.
Now, I had a real problem with this thing pairing to one of my phones, and I had it paired to it finally, and now it looks like it's not pairing because it'll say you're paired. So that's another thing. And this thing is about, well, that's another weird thing, is it plugs in on the top. That's where your plug-in is. Odd. So there's nothing on the back. You can see no ports, no connections, what so have you. This thing probably weighs it weighs a lot less than the Partybox 100. Doesn't have any feet, or you can sit it on the side like the Partybox do. So it's very, very cheap. Like I said, the weight on this is probably a third of what the Partybox 200, which I have the 200, that doesn't even have a battery in it. Very light in comparison. That's not usually a good sign. So anyway, let's hear what this thing can do. Now I will also say that another thing I like about this speaker is it comes with a full function, pretty much full function remote. Another thing I wish the Partybox had. So all the extras and the stuff that goes along with this speaker are really, really something that I wish JBL would do. JBL is always very bare bones about what they offer. Now this also has different EQ modes. I'll go through them. The only one that seems like it has any bass to me is classical, which I have the slider turned up on the bass all the way on this thing. So this is, I think it's in classical right now. Let me go back to the beginning. Well, I'm going to go back to the beginning of this song and go through the different EQ modes for you to hear. And like I said, the volume goes up to 30 on the dial on there, and it's does not sync with your phone. So this is 40% volume. I'll go through the different EQ modes.
Flat.
Again, she's very loud. Of course, I have it turned up all the way. That's the thing. That's flat.
Pop.
Pop really doesn't sound good.
Rock.
Rock's a little bit better.
Jazz.
And there, for some reason, she says jazz like twice as loud as the rest of them. I don't know why.
Classical.
Classical is the one I use. It sounds a little bit warmer, but it has more bass. To me, it sounds the best.
Flat.
And there you're back to flat. Flat's really flat. So I'll go back.
Pop.
I'll go back to classical.
Rock. Jazz. Classical.
So that's 40% volume. Bear in mind I got it maxed out on the speaker itself. That's 60%. Now this thing doesn't have really deep bass to it. It probably would help if the ports were in the back and you had it close to a wall. It would kind of reinforce that bass. Not anywhere close to the bass of even the Partybox 100. Change tracks. And this is still at 60%. And again, I've got the sliders adjusted for the mids, treble, and high, and bass. And I've got the bass maxed out. 80%. Honestly, 100%, it sounds bad. I'm almost afraid it's going to roach the speaker because it sounds like it's really struggling. So, depending on what you're playing, it might be better to turn the volume on the speaker itself down to about 25 instead of 30, and then maybe 100% it on your phone. But at max volume, this thing starts sounding like she's starting to break up a little bit. She might start smoking. Like I said, I'm not too confident in these Altec Lansing speakers whatsoever. It's 60%. I'll go through the different light modes. Well, I thought there was light modes on here, but I think you got to push it on the speaker itself. It's like the Partybox. It has 3 light modes. There's the second one. Third light mode. And off. And like the JBL speakers, you can't adjust any of the colors or anything like that. So they really copied the Partybox, except they added all this extra stuff. So it's a very inferior sounding speaker, but it has all the extras and options I wish the Partybox had. Let me put the Partybox up 200 next to it so you get an idea. Now bear in mind this thing weighs about probably close to 3 times in weight. So you can see there, it's just a little bit bigger than the Partybox 200, which is basically the same thing as the 300, just didn't have the battery. Gives you an idea of the size of it. They're very similar in size. So anyway, that's the Altec Lansing Street Shock AL500. It's $100, man. You can roll the bones if you want. It's risky because, like I said, I don't know if this thing's gonna even keep working, because there for a while it just wouldn't even turn on. So take a chance if you want. It's not terrible. It has some options and stuff. Sound quality is average at best. Doesn't have the greatest bass, but it's not, if it'll work and not crap out on you, it's not terrible. For $100 for what you get for the options it has, that's a pretty good deal, if she'll hold together and keep working. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And maybe I'll do a little sound comparison of these two coming up, just to show you the discrepancy in bass, particularly between the two. That's a wrap.